This video is sponsored by Mark 7 Car Wash Equipment, providing clean, dry, shiny cars for over 50 years. Visit mark7.net for more information.
Hello and welcome to Unscripted, the video series that connects you with market leaders. Today on our Unscripted video, we welcome Prentice St. President of Detail and Progress. Hello, Prentice, and thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Rich, it's great to see you. Thanks. I'm really happy to be here.
Sounds good. So today's topic, Prentice, is on how professional detailers are adapting in this new age of the COVID-19 era. So this interview here, as you know, Prentice, is a follow-up to the August cover story that you wrote for our publication, Professional Car Washing and Detailing magazine, and you started that article emphasizing how important it is for the professional detailer to be quote unquote as professional as possible. So in your opinion, Prentice, what does it mean to be a professional detailer today?
Well, a modern professional detailer is going to be somebody that has taken the time to get formal training in detailing, has all the proper compliance in place, for example, insurance policies, has a good presence as far as uniforms and marketing and all that other things. And also, certification is important. We have the IDA certification that's available. It's independent certification. The professional detailer is also going to be very aware of the current situation and take all the proper steps to take care of the customer and take care of the detailer as well and the employees. Very important.
Okay. Now, do you feel that detailers are better equipped to be as professional as possible today, let's say compared to maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, and why or why not, in your opinion?
Well, let's put it this way. The opportunity is there to be better equipped. We're in an age of automotive detailing that has exploded in the last 10 or 20 years. We've got polishing machines now that do amazing things and don't have the same problems that we had for decades before that. We have chemicals now for inside and outside of the car that are absolutely phenomenal, that allow us to clean the interior of the vehicle much faster and much more effectively than we've been able to do in decades. And on the exterior, we've got polishes and compounds and waxes and sealants that allow us to do amazing things to many types of paint issues. And we've got ceramic coating, which just opens up the door to profitability for the professional detailer that takes the time to learn how to properly use those products. Also, being the opportunity to be better equipped is from the standpoint of the education that's available and the communication that's available. We have a huge community now of detailers, professional detailers from around the country and indeed from around the world. The International Detailing Association is in 67 countries, for heaven's sake. So we didn't have that 20 years ago. We had, in fact, most detailers before the advent of the IDA, we didn't want to talk to each other. Now we crave talking with each other. And this is also among the suppliers, which is amazing. Even the suppliers communicate with each other much more than they ever did before. And we all realize that it's not about who gets the most money, it's about how the entire industry thrives.
Okay. Now, I know you focus heavily on the detailing industry and its performance. I'm sure you talked to a lot of detailers as well over these past few months. So can you give us an update on how detailing services are performing during this pandemic? And then just as a follow-up, how can detailers market and leverage such services as interior disinfection to either stabilize or grow profitability during this period of economic uncertainty?
It's been an interesting ride over the last few months. When the shutdown first happened in March, there were a lot of detailers who just said, well, I'm just going to close my doors. I don't either I'm not legally allowed to be open, or I just don't want to face the possibility of catching a virus or spreading a virus. So there were a number of people that did that. There was a lot of fear. In the beginning, there was a lot of advice being floated around about, leaving cars sitting for 14 days before getting in them, which really puts a crimp in your business style. Since then, though, I think what has happened is that a lot of detailers have realized that they can continue to operate and operate at a profitable level just fine. And some of the colleagues that I speak to around the country say they're having record months because people are wanting their cars detailed. People are keeping their cars. They have extra time. There's still money out there. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but there's still money out there. And some people have it and they want to spend it. They want to spend it on services. I think also what's happened is that the detailers who are a little bit more fearful about the virus may focus on exterior services, and that's where things like the ceramic coatings come in, and things like headlight restoration, and of course paint correction in normal waxing and sealing services. I've been doing a lot of lease return vehicles where people are coming on the end of their lease and they've got a few issues on the car they want to take care of. That broadens up a little bit beyond detailing, more minor paint repairs and things like leather repair and stuff like that, but it's still within the realm of reconditioning services. And I think that most of the detailers that I've spoken with are doing okay. Business might be down a little bit, but if they take a professional approach to this virus and realize that we cannot spread it, we cannot have a situation where contact tracing comes back to a detail shop. That'll be disastrous for the whole industry. So we have to be very careful about how we intake the car, how we communicate with the customer, as little contact as possible. We need to use disinfection chemicals that are absolutely shown to kill coronavirus. And let's face it, coronavirus has been around for centuries. It causes all the common colds, so it's nothing new. It's just this particular strain of the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is extremely, we don't have a vaccine for it yet. So until we have that vaccine, we've got to be very careful about the potential for spreading the virus. And it also comes down to the employees too. You've got to take care of your employees if you have a detail shop with employees and provide them with the right protection that they need, and also the training to help them understand how they're supposed to approach the car and approach their own sanitation when they're done in the car so that they don't potentially catch the virus as well. Opportunities for sanitation services, yeah, there's definitely that opportunity. We have to be a little bit careful about that. You don't want to make unfound promises that you can completely eliminate the virus in your car. Nobody's sure of that yet. What we can do is stock our detail shop with the correct chemicals that will allow us to properly clean the interior of the car and then come back and sanitize or disinfect it when we're done. And also, I highly recommend any vehicle that comes into the shop, spray it out with your disinfection solution before you even get in the car. So, and that's not gonna, if you've got a good one, it's not gonna hurt anything on any surfaces in the vehicle. So most of the long-time professional chemical suppliers in our industry are going to have some kind of disinfection product available to us now. So, funny thing is, I think it was in April, I actually designed and had a bunch of postcards printed out. We can disinfect your vehicle. And I never ended up sending too many of them out because I realized I didn't really want to get into a lot of vehicles then. And I'm not even sure if I'm ever even going to send them out because it seems a little cheesy to me. I think it's if you got to get work, you got to get work. But there might be people that are interested in getting their cars disinfected. The problem is, I mean, how many times can you do that? Every time you get in and out of your car, you can potentially put a virus back into it. So I don't know. I think there's opportunity to make money on disinfection services. You just got to be real careful about how you market it, the promises you make, and then how you approach the actual service itself. That's a really complicated answer to your question.
That's great. We appreciate the detail, no pun intended. But transitioning to the last question I have here, Prentice, for you. You mentioned, we don't have a vaccine, so we need to take precautions on the front lines there to be as safe as possible, and that includes the correct personal protection equipment, the PPE. So you mentioned that in your article in Professional Car Washing and Detailing. So we hear a lot about PPE and face masks these days, and their varying levels of effectiveness. So how can detailers ensure they're using the correct and most effective PPE to safeguard not only themselves but also others during this pandemic?
Well, sure. It's an important thing that goes along with everything we've talked about so far. I am not an infectious disease expert. I'll just put that out there right away. But what I have done from the very beginning of this is spend a lot of time going on, webinars and Zoom meetings from experts in the area, and also spending a lot of time on the government websites, CDC, EPA, World Health Organization, because that information is all coming from infectious disease experts, people that understand what's happening and the precautions we need to take. So that's my first bit of advice, is spend some time researching for yourself what the latest guidelines are. And I think the CDC website is probably best. It's cdc.gov. And they're going to give you information on PPE and which ones are effective and which ones aren't. And, there's research constantly being done on this, so it changes all the time. I think obviously the N95 and the KN95 are going to be your best bet. When you get into cloth, I hear recommendations for 3 layers. And, there's everybody and their brother and sister are out there making face masks now. So anything is better than nothing, because we know that the virus is spread from molecules coming out of our nose and our mouth. So if we can keep that to ourselves, and also there is some evidence now that wearing a mask helps prevent you from intaking those droplets that could potentially have the virus on them. So it's not, we used to say do it for other people. Now it's do it for yourself too. So wearing a mask is going to continue to be a very important thing. I'm reading a book about the 1918 pandemic, and we had a lot of the same issues. There were some anti-maskers then. There were people that had protested in the streets. There were people that had parties. So we're going through the same thing again. The funny thing is that pandemic killed as many as 100 million people. So you'd think we'd learn from that and all the ones we've had since then, that we need to take this seriously. So, as far as I'm kind of circling around here back to the individual professional detailer needs to keep up on the latest, the research, take some time to do these Zoom webinars. For example, here in Southern California, Kaiser Permanente does an occasional thing. Even the AARP, yes, I'm that old. The AARP has had some great educational. Even UPS had one. A number of companies are coming out with great information, and they're not just spewing it out themselves. They're bringing in experts to help understand what the different issues are. I'm not a big fan of watching the news too much, because it's typically pretty biased and it's all kind of depressing. But when you look at the sources of the information, some of the major medical institutions in the country putting out research and recommendations, that's going to help you make decisions back at your detail shop.
Okay, well, all very good advice, and Prentice, you've definitely been dedicated to this craft for many years, being a recognized expert and person who writes articles and does video interviews like this. So we certainly appreciate your commitment to the advancement of the detailing industry, and we thank you for taking a few moments here to discuss this article a little more and this issue with me today for carwash.com.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Rich, for the opportunity.